Hello and welcome to another video by Day Night Gaming. In this video I'll be discussing how I tank dungeon pulls as a paladin in the MMORPG known as Final Fantasy XIV. So whenever entering a dungeon, always make sure that you have your tank stance activated, and in a paladin's case it is called Iron Will as of patch 5.0, because even if you had it on previously, if you get level synced down, you will enter the dungeon without your tank stance activated. It's important to note that a tank's job is to hold all of the enemy's attention onto yourself, and it's because of this that the more enemies that are hitting you, the harder it will be for the healer to keep you alive. So you want to assist the healer by using your defensive cooldowns. So I'm going to demonstrate 3 different variations of pulls, and with this first demonstration I am not going to activate any defensive cooldowns, just so you can see how quickly I take damage. Also, please take note that I'm going to be doing a multi-pack pull. So I'm going to go ahead and aggro this first pack, and after aggroing them, I'm going to make sure all of them are claimed by hitting them with my AoE attack, changing their names from yellow to orange into red. And then I'm going to activate sprint so I can quickly get to the next pack. And then just like the previous pack, I'm going to aggro them, and then I'm going to claim all of them by using my AoE attacks. As you can see here, I've already taken a significant amount of damage just rounding up all the enemies. And each second that goes by, I take a significant chunk of damage, very quickly leading to my demise. So this time around, I'm going to repeat the pull, but once I reach my final destination, I'm going to activate a defensive cooldown. And for purposes of this video, I'm going to use Rampart, which will give me a 20% damage reduction for a 20-second duration. Now please keep note that this is not a paladin specific ability, but instead it's under the action and traits for our role class, because all tanks can acquire Rampart. So I'm going to go ahead and claim these monsters here, and then once I have all of them claimed, I'm going to sprint to the next pack, and then I'm going to aggro these and claim them as well, and then I'm going to pull to my final destination. After doing so, I'm going to make sure that they're all claimed, and now I'm going to activate Rampart, and you're going to notice now that I'm going to take a significantly less amount of damage, and I'm actually living a lot longer than the previous pull. Of course, without any heals, I am still going to meet my demise. So this time around, I'm going to do the same pull, but instead of activating just one defensive cooldown, I'm going to double up and activate 2 of them instead. And for purposes of this video, I'm going to use both Rampart and Arm's Length, which will grant a barrier that any non-boss enemy that strikes me will receive a 20% attack speed slow debuff, and this barrier lasts for 15 seconds. And just like Rampart, this is under the roles section of the action and traits, because all the tanks can acquire this ability. So I'm gonna go ahead and aggro this first pack and make sure to claim all of them, just like in the previous runs. So here we go, I got them all claimed. Then I'm gonna sprint, and then I'm gonna head to the second pack. I'm gonna aggro them and claim them as well using my AoE attacks. And once I'm at my final destination, I'm gonna activate Rampart and Arm's Length. And now that I have both of them, you're gonna notice that I'm surviving a lot longer than before. And this is gonna greatly help the healer, because this is gonna give them the breathing room that they need to heal you back up. Now granted, of course, without any heals, I'm gonna meet my untimely demise. Alright, so now that we've seen all 3 different variations of pulling, I'm going to repeat the same pull that we just did using the double up method. I'm going to use Rampart and Arm's Length, and because I have both of these defensive cooldowns activated, I'm going to use my own personal heals provided by Clemency to show how easy it is to heal through incoming damage when you double up your defensive cooldowns. And because I have a mana pool of 10,000 MP and Clemency will cost 2,000 MP, I will be able to cast 5 heals for purposes of this video. So now that we've reached 10,000 MP, I'll go ahead and pull this pack. So here we go, I'm going to make sure to aggro all the monsters just like in the previous pulls. And once I have them all claimed, I'm going to sprint to the next pack. And then I'm going to use my AoEs to claim all of them as well. Then I'm going to activate Rampart and Arm's Length to double up my defensive cooldowns. And then after that, I'm going to start casting my Clemency heals. So first heal, second heal, third heal, fourth heal, and now the 5th heal. As you can see, I've survived quite a long period of time using my own heals. So you can really see the amount of breathing room that you can create by doubling up your defensive cooldowns, making it much easier for the healer to keep you alive. Alright, so now I'm going to showcase what it's like to actually perform this pull in a party situation. So just like the previous pulls, I'm going to double up my defensive cooldowns using Rampart and Arm's Length. You'll notice that once the white mage of this party is able to stabilize my HP, they're going to be able to easily rotate between healing and DPS spells. And in this case, it's going to be Cure 2 into Holy into Cure 2 into Holy. So here we go. I've aggroed the first pack and claimed them, and now I'm sprinting to the second pack. And now I'm going to proceed to claim them as well, and then head into my final destination, where I'm going to start tanking the enemies. So now I'm going to use Rampart and Arm's Length. And as you can see here, the healer just cast the Medica 2 to get me a regen, as well as regular regen. And now I'm stabilized, so Holy into Cure 2 into Holy. And as you can see here, it's much easier for the healer to keep my HP in a safe enough zone that they can cast long DPS spells and speed up how quickly we progress through the dungeon. Now, the nice thing about Paladin is you have quite a large repertoire of defensive cooldowns, so it's very easy to double up on which defensive cooldowns you're going to use, especially since one of those is Reprisal, which has an extremely fast cooldown, so you can be using it quite often, as well as Sheltron, which is provided by expending our Shield Oath gauge, which of course after the first pull you should be able to easily maintain your Shield Oath gauge, where you can have back-to-back Sheltrons every dungeon pool. But please remember, you as a tank have a lot of damage mitigation and defensive cooldowns. Your party does not. So you want to do your best to mitigate the amount of damage that the rest of your party might potentially incur while they're fighting. So you want to navigate the monster's attention so that they face away from the party, so that any cleaving attack that the monster might make will be focused upon you and not the rest of the party. And the easy way to do this is once you have all the enemy's attention, you can take a few steps backwards. That way the enemies facing are all pointed toward you, and the remaining party members' positions are on the other side of the monsters. The nice thing about multi-stacking defensive cooldowns is the ability for the tank to pull multiple packs of enemies. So here I'm going to be showcasing pulling 3 packs of enemies, one of them consisting of a very large hard-hitting monster, and you'll notice that it's still quite easily manageable for the healer. So here I'm going to grab the 3rd pack, then I'm going to activate my defensive cooldown, starting with Rampart followed by Sheltron, and you're going to notice that even though I'm taking a large amount of incoming damage, my health pool is easily managed by the healer. And the reason for this is because the level designers at Square Enix have purposely designed the maps so that a tank can pull up to a certain point, and then there will be a barrier or a stopgap. This prevents the tank from overpulling, and all the enemies leading up to the stopgap are carefully curated for the tank to pull all the mobs so that the party can AoE down all the enemies, keeping the action fast-paced. This is all by design, which is why you'll notice that all classes, including tanks, have quite a large amount of AoE attacks. In fact, you may notice that enemies will have different HP values among the enemies that you'll pull from pack to pack. And once again, this is by design. And because of this, you'll notice that not all the enemies will die simultaneously. Instead, they'll die staggered, which allows the tank to get some breathing room, as well as the healer, thus providing a window for their defensive cooldowns to come back online, ready for the next pull. And the reason that the developers are able to carefully fine-tune each one of these dungeons is because each dungeon will have a minimum and maximum eye level of gear allowed to enter the dungeon. Also, for good measure, the developers have also placed hallways to transverse through at key points in each dungeon, which makes sure that a tank always has just enough defensive cooldowns ready to go from pack to pack and mob to mob. It's actually amazing when you think about it, how much care the developers have put in to carefully curate such an excellent experience for the players. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider smashing that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe and ring that bell for notifications on future videos that I might be posting. And until next time, take care. Goodbye.